What would you do if your child was publicly humiliated, just for being themselves? Would you speak out, or stay silent to keep the peace? Today's story will challenge everything you think you know about subtle racism, dignity, and justice. A flight. A little girl. A flight attendant's cruel voice. And a mother who refused to stay quiet. Before we begin, we want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced or witnessed discrimination like this? Do you think staying silent helps or hurts? Drop your answers in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Skin Deep Stories, where real emotions spark change. Now, let's begin. Ava had never been on a plane before. At 7 years old, she was full of excitement, her pink backpack bouncing behind her, and her wide brown eyes taking in every detail. Her braids were tied with glittery purple bands. She clutched a tiny stuffed giraffe in one hand and her mother's hand in the other. They were flying from Atlanta to Seattle, Ava's first time seeing her grandmother in person. Her mother, Jordan, had planned this for months. She booked the window seat just for Ava. "You'll get to see the clouds," she had promised. They boarded early, courtesy of his family with young children, and found their seats quickly. Ava pressed her face against the glass. Her skin glowed in the sunlight. A white flight attendant approached. "Excuse me, sweetheart," the woman said, her smile tight. "You need to sit properly and not touch the windows so much, it smudges the glass." Jordan turned, surprised. "She's just excited. I'll wipe it down, no problem." The attendant didn't smile. "We like to keep things clean before the flight starts." It wasn't the words, it was the tone. Cold. Dismissive. Like Ava didn't belong. Jordan's stomach tightened, but she said nothing. She was used to these things, microaggressions that came wrapped in polite packaging. But Ava. She didn't know yet. Jordan didn't want to dim her wonder. Minutes passed. The plane began to fill. People shuffled to their seats. Luggage clicked into overhead bins. A white child a few rows up bounced in his seat, shouting about flying like a rocket ship. No one told him to sit properly. No one scolded him about the window. Jordan noticed. Ava didn't. Then it happened. Ava pulled her giraffe close and whispered to her mother, "Can I ask the plane lady for a snack?" Before Jordan could answer, the flight attendant returned. This time, her voice was louder, enough for nearby passengers to hear. "I already told you to stay in your seat, young lady. You need to stop talking and sit properly." Ava froze. Her giraffe dropped to the floor. Jordan's breath caught in her throat. Passengers turned to look. Some frowned. One man chuckled behind his newspaper. Jordan reached down, picked up Ava's giraffe, and turned slowly to the woman. But before she could speak, the flight attendant added, "I won't be repeating myself again." The air in the cabin felt different now. The passengers had gone silent. Ava sat perfectly still, her small hands clenched in her lap. Her eyes, which moments ago sparkled with joy, now brimmed with confusion, and something Jordan hadn't seen in her before. Shame. Jordan straightened her spine. "Excuse me," she said, her voice calm but deliberate. "I need to understand why you're speaking to my daughter like this." The flight attendant blinked. "Ma'am, I've already spoken to her once. We expect passengers, especially children, to follow instructions. She's 7. She was excited. She wasn't yelling, running around, or disturbing anyone. She asked a question. "Ma'am, I won't argue with you." "No, you will," Jordan cut in. "Because what you're doing is singling out a black child on this flight. That boy up front is yelling and standing on his seat, and I haven't seen you say a word to him." The attendant's mouth opened, then closed. "Is there a reason my daughter doesn't get the same patience you're offering others?" "Because it's clear to me, and to everyone watching, that you've chosen her to scold publicly." Several passengers shifted in their seats. One woman behind Jordan nodded. I'm just trying to do my job," the flight attendant stammered. "Then do it evenly," Jordan said. Don't make my daughter feel like she doesn't belong. A voice came from row 12. She's right. Another from behind.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. Jordan looked at Ava, who was now holding her giraffe again, but this time tighter, almost like a shield. Baby, Jordan said softly, you didn't do anything wrong. Tears welled up in Ava's eyes. Then a deeper voice echoed across the cabin. Is everything okay, here? It was the lead flight attendant, a tall man with gray hair and a no-nonsense expression. He had seen the commotion from the galley. Jordan turned to him. Not yet, sir. Your colleague humiliated my daughter for nothing. We're not trying to cause trouble. But I am not going to let anyone mistreat her and walk away like it didn't happen. He glanced at the woman. Is that true? The woman swallowed, then muttered, I may have been too firm. When the plane landed in Seattle, Jordan was exhausted. She had stayed composed. But inside, her heart had rattled the entire flight. Not from fear, but from the heaviness of knowing her child had her first taste of what the world could be like for black girls. And it happened 35,000 feet above the ground. At baggage claim, a woman approached her, someone from the flight. Hi, the woman said. I just want to say thank you again for how you stood up. I recorded it. I wasn't sure at first, but it felt wrong. I thought it might help. Jordan blinked. You recorded it? She handed her a phone. I blurred your child's face. But I think people need to see this. Later that night, the video appeared on social media. No names. No locations. Just when a flight attendant humiliates a little girl and her mom refuses to stay silent. It was less than 2 minutes. But it spread like wildfire. Within 48 hours, it hit 2 million views. People were furious. Not just because of what was said, but because so many parents saw themselves in Jordan. So many children had once been Ava. Mother confronts flight attendant for racial bias against her daughter. 7-year-old humiliated on plane, mom demands accountability. Jordan didn't ask for the spotlight. But it came anyway. The airline issued a formal statement. An investigation was launched. The flight attendant in question was suspended. But the most powerful moment didn't happen online. It happened in a school gym. 3 weeks later, Jordan was invited to speak at Ava Hess Elementary School for a Voices of Courage assembly. She thought she'd talk for a few minutes and leave. But when she stepped on stage, something stopped her. Ava, standing beside her, held the giraffe tightly and whispered, I want to talk too. Jordan froze. You sure, baby? Ava nodded. And then, into the mic, her little voice echoed. I didn't know why she was mad at me. But my mom made me feel safe again. And I want to say, nobody should treat people like they don't belong. Even if we look different. The room went quiet. Then came the applause. Not polite. Not forced. But real. And Jordan realized, sometimes, when you speak up, the lesson doesn't end with the person you confront, it begins with the people who are watching. The email subject line read. National Morning Show, feature request. Jordan read it twice, then a third time. She had been home for weeks, letting the viral wave pass, trying to restore normalcy. Ava was back to school. Their mailbox still overflowed with letters, from other moms, teachers, and strangers. Some told their own stories. Others just said thank you. But this was a national TV spot. The producer explained, we want to highlight your courage. We believe it's an important conversation. Jordan hesitated. She was a private person. Her career in nonprofit work had taught her to support people behind the scenes, not stand in front of cameras. But something about the tone of the email felt sincere. She agreed, on one condition, Ava wouldn't be part of it. The day arrived. Jordan wore a navy blazer. Clean braids. No makeup but a single coat of gloss. She didn't want to look glamorous. She wanted to look like every black mother who had ever swallowed anger in public to protect her child. The host leaned in as the cameras rolled. Why did you choose to speak up in that moment? Jordan didn't blink. Because if I didn't, I knew Ava would have thought she did something wrong. And little girls like her, black girls, carry enough on their backs already. They don't need shame too. The room went quiet. The host nodded. Powerful. So, what happened next? After the flight? Jordan told them about the school speech. About the letters. About the apology email from a former flight attendant who had once done something similar and regretted it for years. The host smiled. And what do you hope comes out of this? Jordan paused. 6 months later. Ava clutched her giraffe in one hand and Jordan's palm in the other. They stood at gate C-27, boarding passes in hand, waiting to board a flight to Atlanta. This time, it wasn't for a funeral or family emergency. It was for something new, something good. Jordan had officially joined the nonprofit program mentioned during the TV interview. She had helped rewrite a national training module on racial awareness in customer service, especially for airline staff. Now, she was flying out to speak at a national conference of flight crew executives. But she couldn't stop thinking about one thing. Would boarding a plane ever feel safe again? Ava was older now. Only by months, but the months had mattered. She stood taller. Her braids were tighter. Her grip, firmer. Still, Jordan noticed the moment they stepped through the aircraft door, Ava flinched just slightly. A kind-faced male flight attendant greeted them. Good afternoon, welcome aboard. Seats 17A and B, right this way. They found their seats. Window and middle. Ava sat first, quietly. Then, just before takeoff, a familiar voice echoed from the speaker system. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for flying with us today. This is your lead attendant, Sandra, and I'd like to start today with something different. Jordan's ears perked up. Sandra? She turned to the front, and there, in the galley, was the same flight attendant from that flight months ago. The one who had shamed Ava. Except now, she looked different. Softer. Smaller. Sandra continued. Before we go over safety instructions, I want to take a moment to remind everyone, especially my fellow crew, that every child deserves to feel safe here. That every parent deserves to feel respected. I've learned a lot these past months, and I want to thank those who taught me, even if they didn't mean to. Passengers looked around, confused. Jordan sat still. She wasn't sure whether to be angry again or humbled. Ava leaned in and whispered. Mommy. I think she's talking about us. Jordan nodded slowly. Maybe she is, baby. Later, during drink service, Sandra approached their row. Nervously. She didn't say much. Just placed a ginger ale in front of Ava with a little paper straw shaped like a heart. And quietly said, "You're stronger than most adults I know." Then walked away. At the Atlanta conference, Jordan stepped onto the stage in front of over 500 airline executives. She told Ava's story. She told the story of that flight. The shame. The silence. The moment a little girl was made to feel small, and how a mother refused to let her stay that way. She ended with one sentence. The goal isn't to make flight attendants perfect, it's to make them aware. As she walked off stage, a senior exec pulled her aside and said, "You're not just changing airlines. You're changing lives." Before we go, what would you have done if it was your daughter? Have you ever experienced bias this subtle, yet this deep? Let us know in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe to Skin Deep Stories for more real, emotional stories that hit where it matters most.